Yo, welcome back to the fifth round, brought to you by the Intrigue Content Network and hosted by myself, as always, Stephen Moustaris. And man, I just wanted to get on here and talk about UFC 264 last night and just some of the wild and wacky finishes that we saw, or the finishes and whatever. It was some high level shit last night and jam packed full of everything. And I definitely wanted to start off just talking about the Suga Sean O'Malley fight as he fought a zombie, or in by the name of Kris Moutinho. And man, I'll be the first one to say that I have videos of it that, talking about how I just didn't really like it. Like I didn't like the Louis Smolka matchup. Honestly, I thought that Sugar Sean is past this. I mean, we've seen it so many times now in the UFC where we get look at Hamza Chimaev or whatever. Like he gets a couple like really good finishes, and then they were going to throw him up against Leon Edwards, and like in his fifth fight, and it's like Sugar Sean now. We've seen him multiples. Like probably he's on his fifth, sixth fight in the UFC now, and he's finishing cats other than Cheeto Vera. And I mean, we can't even see the rematch of Cheeto Vera or anything like that. And then he comes out, beats Thomas Almeida, who, don't get me wrong, is on a losing streak, but the dude, he definitely knows what he's doing, and he's definitely a high level fighter, and definitely a name that at least we all know. Then they announced the Louis Smolka fight, and like I just said, I was pretty upset with it just because Louis Smolka just, I don't know, like, no offense to him, he's gonna kick my ass. He's gonna, he's definitely a good kickboxer and great fighter. But when it comes to just Sugar Sean's like hype and where he's heading and projecting, I just thought, maybe a rematch of Cheeto Vera would make more sense. Even though I know he just got done with a fight, so timing wise, not really, but at least just matchups. Even just fighting the Dominic Cruz, that hasn't been that active. That would make a lot of sense. The Cody Garbrandt fight was making a lot of sense about this time last year, or a year and a half ago. And I don't know. It's tough to sit here and then be excited about this. And then Louis Smolka backs out. And then, you're hearing all these names like Marab and Cody Stamen and Ricky Simon, all these guys calling out. They're in the top 15 that are in front of him ranked with big names and very high level fighting skills are calling this guy out. And then they announce that some guy that's not even in the UFC yet just got signed, and we're throwing him up against Sugar Sean O'Malley. So I was sitting there going into the fight, almost a lose-lose for Sean, just because no name out of Kris Moutinho, no offense, until now. And then, just, you're like, okay, so if he goes out there, I was pretty much expecting a quick finish or in the first two rounds. But then we really quickly realized that this kid, I mean, at first he was running almost too forward, and it looked like he was just there for the taking. But the pressure that man put on all night was unreal. And I can't believe, I think this might be the first time in UFC history, or at least fighting history, that I can think of. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure if I really looked and went back and watched it, there's probably a ton of these, comparisons. But just for somebody to get beat up that bad, but somehow comes out a winner, like, that dude's face was deformed last night. Like, it was pretty bad. Sugar Sean was stacking like 4 or 5 jabs at a time, just whipping the head back every time. And I mean, we seen him get dropped viciously at the end of the first round. I mean, his nose has to be shattered. I wouldn't be some cheek fractures, whatnot, facial fractures. I wouldn't be shocked. It was wild to really see. And like, as dominant of a performance as it was, Kris did a really good job of just making it look like it was hard for Sugar Sean. Like, I was worried there for a little bit that people were going to be hating Sugar Sean that much. But now I'm sitting here thinking that was probably the perfect matchup for him. Like, don't get me wrong. Of course we want to see somebody with a little more high level stand up and head movement and whatnot, and somebody who can at least have a little faster to give him problems, because Kris couldn't touch him. But just the pressure, you're not going to see that on anybody. And it was almost perfect for us to like really see, because there was a time there at the end of the first round or even into the second round where we're sitting there like, oh man, Sugar Sean's looking at the clock quite a bit. This dude's probably pretty tired, but and then it goes on to, I think it was about 2 minutes before that in that round, in the third round, I was like, man, Herb Dean might step in and stop this one, just because the damage was just getting unreal. But I don't think anybody has a problem with that stoppage unless you're Kris Moutinho, but because I think that could have got really, really scary, because he already got concussed in the first round, maybe again with a huge hit. So, but yeah, definitely both guys somehow come out winners. Sugar Sean's star raises that much more. I was worried that it was gonna, kind of dim a little bit, even with like a mediocre performance. In like it would have been his perfect time just because he's on Connor's, on his fight card. But classic performance out of both, or not both, definitely not out of both, but Sugar Sean, and then just the cojones that guy has, Kris Moutinho, to come into the UFC and just go, fuck it, I'm just going straight at this dude all 3 rounds on 11 days notice. So it was really impressive. Sugar Sean, this is your time now, though. I love the call outs. I loved how pissed you got. You made it kind of look like, hey, these guys aren't taking these fights. So honestly, you brought the Sugar Show back on track for the train, and I couldn't be any happier. So this has been the 5th round. As always, myself, Stephen Moustaris, and I hope you guys have a great day.